to do. And I feel like streaming and having a set schedule will force me to finish those things, you know? And with that, I imagine that there are other people who are interested in just joining in that process of, here's someone's bucket list. Maybe this is something I'm interested in seeing too, and I would join in on that, you know? But it's so funny because one lens popped out. I'm like, all right, I need to drive. You know where this is going, right? So I'm going home. I have these glasses on, and I'm like winking the entire time I'm like driving. And then after a while, my eye gets tired from winking the entire time. So I'm like, this is so stupid. What the hell am I doing? So I also cover up this eye so I could see through these lenses. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so stupid. And I'm like driving with one hand, you know, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to do turns, you know. So I take off my glasses, I drive far away from the people in front of me, and that's how I got home. It was like, I think he spent like 10 minutes on each test. Then I'm like, hold up. All right. I teach over 120, okay? 120 pre-AP students. Let's multiply that by 10, all right? That's 1,200 minutes. Now let's divide that by 60, and you're telling me that I spend 20 hours grading pre-AP tests. Are you crazy? You think I'd spend 10 minutes grading your test? Hell no. Hell no. Right? But then that puts it into perspective, right? Like 10 minutes per test. That sound reasonable probably to that student. I'm not saying that they're stupid for saying that, but then their expectations don't match what reality is. That's what I'm trying to say. And when I was looking at it, I saw this blanket. I was like, oh my gosh, I need that. And then I just thought to myself, like, no, I don't really need it, but I want it. Like I need it. My favorite part of teaching was honestly giving y'all the chance to see what reality really was for me as a teacher, because I think having that unfiltered perspective and allowing you to understand more of what quote unquote real life is beyond just, you know, student life is important, because you're not going to see that. I mean, where are you going to see that then, right? Your family is going to continue the habits that they have, the routines that they have for God knows how long, you know? Your teachers, you have a certain expectation that your teachers are probably going to behave a certain way, you know? So you're kind of primed to just think a certain way already. So, I mean, and then what is there outside of your family and your school life? You know, you might have church organizations that you go to, or religious institutions that you might visit. You might have like clubs that you attend, right? But where else are you receiving life lessons to have those experiences that you need, right? There are many students that don't have that. So who's going to give it to them, you know? And that's why I valued my position as a teacher. That's my favorite part about being a teacher. Giving a glimpse at what might it be after school? What might it be after education? Because for some people, it's not college. For many people outside of the suburbia especially, it's straight into the workforce, you know? And that sucks. But that's the reality of things, and they ought to at least be able to hear someone's perspective on what that's like. But that's my opinion. And that's also indoctrination, which is something that has been in question for a while. And that's why I was laughing. Kid you not, OChem Lab specifically is likely my favorite class that I took in all my courses. That is content focused, right? I enjoyed my education courses way more than anything else, if I'm being honest. And then I took a bird biology class, which is called ornithology. Orno for birds, and ology is a study, so it's the study of birds, right? That was my favorite class that I took later in my career, but I don't know if it was my all-time favorite. But OChem is a good time. It's really, really cool. And like I said, the lab, man, unforgettable. It's really cool. And especially for a chemical engineer, like going into that mindset of like you have to break everything down into steps. You gotta think of the best way to make this thing. Like that is an attitude, that is a perspective that you need as an engineer. Breaking your problems down into smaller and smaller and smaller steps is super essential to be an engineer. So it is crucial that you take as much as you can out of OChem, because it can only benefit you. But yeah, OChem, it's a whole nother level of chemistry that you've never seen. In fact, I would argue that even taking Gen Chem and then going straight into OChem, it feels like a whole nother language, and that you're not really learning chemistry, at least chemistry that you've seen so far. It's just completely different, and it catches a lot of people off guard, I think. At UT, we often call it a filter class. So then the students who are going into OChem and don't have a good time, they're like, I don't think I want to be a science major anymore. Like they get into this existential crisis of like, damn, OChem is hard. If this is what a science major is like, I don't want to do it anymore. And then you see all these pre-med students who are like, I want to be a doctor. And then they go into OChem. They're like, no thanks. Yeah, weed out classes, yeah. Like, no thanks. And then all of a sudden you go from like 50% of students that are pre-med, they drop out. They're like, no thanks. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's important to have ambition, but having that clarity in reality and the discipline to keep pushing through, that's the reason why you have these weed out classes. It's like, do you really want to do this? Like, this is going to be a very normal thing for you to keep learning about. So if you're not enjoying this, get the fuck out. Right? Your dad was pre-med and remember telling him how your class went? Oh, that's terrible. You're talking about the ACC class? I've never been so busy. Ooh, okay. Ooh, long message. Okay. You remember how stressed I was when I taught your class? One thing you and your classmates enjoyed was how open I was about life outside of high school. Yep, that was one of my objectives as a teacher. I will say that. Let me finish this message. I'll never forget when you shut the door and said, "This shit sucks." Did I really say that? And went on to talk about how stressed you were. Oh wow, I don't doubt that I had those rambles, because I was very vocal. I was very vocal about my experiences as a teacher, because I thought that was important for students to recognize to myself whenever I was reading your comment wall. Like, can you imagine if randomly a parent walks into this into my stream right now, is like reading your comment, is like, he's a former teacher? What the hell? He worked at McNeil? What were they thinking? It's like, hey, let's keep it real, you know? So, do I regret saying that? No. Not at all. Are the consequences for what I might be advertising? Sure, you know. But look at how many people have appreciated some of the words and some of the things that I've had to share, you know. And I feel like I could make a case that I have, and this is my own bias, okay, I have positively affected many students' lives with what I had to share. And some students didn't agree with what I said, and that's fine. Oh my gosh, I'm getting decimated. I'm probably not making out of this one. Okay. Because I have confirmation bias, I have sampling bias, I have all kinds of bias from the students who have shared with me, like, what they thought about what I had to say. And overall, even for the students that sorry, I'm like thinking as I'm playing this, and this is really intense right now. I'm probably dead, but I'm really trying. Yeah, it's not happening. But even then, like, so even for the people who didn't agree with me, they still said, you know, I really appreciate you just going out of your way to tell us something like this, because no one's ever made me think about those sorts of things. Where are you going to get the chance to get it, right? You know, thank you for saying that. That means a lot. It means a lot to me also to know that students who I didn't even teach, or people who were not my students also have made that comment also, you know. To know that I was in a community where even if I didn't directly interact with you, that I still somehow impacted you, that I feel like that's very telling about what value you bring to community, right? Like, I think about, like, for example, I'm not trying to fluff myself up, but this is the example that came up. Look at Michael Jordan, right? The influence that he has made on the NBA and the legacy that he has left has continued to influence it for decades, right? I'm not saying that I'll have an impact like that. In fact, it'd be amazing if I did, but I don't expect it to be that prolific. But if I could have an influence in someone's life that has like long-lasting positive repercussions, I feel like that's a success right there. That's more than I can ask for. And that's really why I made sure to have those sorts of conversations, because I think it does leave an impact. I think it is important to hear those things, and they are relevant to the times, right? My frustration, yeah, it was more so to vent, but I wanted to make sure that there was some sort of lesson to be learned from it, at least, you know? And that's like, you can't dispute that, right?